So recently, I read a book called Your Brain on Love, Your Brain on Love, and it's one of my favorite books of the new year. I know some of you like my book recommendations. So Your Brain on Love by Stan Tatkin, Your Brain on Love. And in this book, it taught me a very, very valuable lesson. The author gives advice that I wish someone had told me about 20 years ago. So in relationships, I don't know if you've ever had experience like this, but in some relationships, one partner is kind of they call themselves a realist, but we might call them a pessimist. And sometimes you'll have one partner who's more of a realist than the other. And there are times in relationships, says the book, where one partner will ask a question like, "Will you love me forever? Will we be together forever?" And you realist partners, Tatkin has something, he'll really set you straight on something here. I was surprised to learn that they don't want you to analyze the probability of sustainability for your relationship using exact percentages. That's when they ask, are we going to be together forever? You don't want to say, well, factoring in climate change and the rates of divorce currently, that's not what they want. They just want you to say yes. Maybe even give them a hug. I know it's surprising to some of us, but it's an important learning that a few of us Zen husband types may need to know. Okay, so you see, we all know that nothing is guaranteed. Your partner knows that nothing is guaranteed. And I think after a certain age, we don't necessarily believe in soulmates in a way that means you don't have to put the work in to the relationship anymore, that it's just going to be handed to. We already know that. What your partner wants, Zen pessimists, is an affirmation that your love and connection is a priority. And we want this because it can bring a feeling of security in what seems like a very insecure world. Wouldn't a feeling of security like that be kind of nice right now? I don't know. Let me know. Don't you think that a feeling of security like that would be kind of pleasant? The world seems a little bit insecure, and it might be kind of nice to have this feeling that something is stable. There's some grounding we can find. All of us right now are in a unique spot in our lives. So it doesn't matter. Some people have survived poverty. Some people have survived leaving long-term relationships. Some people have survived illness. Some of us have survived going off to college. Some of us have survived, the hardest one, changing long-held opinions when exposed to new evidence. We've survived really difficult things. And I don't know if any of us have ever survived all of those things that come along already in the midst of rapid socio-political upheaval, during a global pandemic, while facing the realities of catastrophic anthropogenic climate change, while being exposed to the underbelly of entrenched systemic racism that's all separating to the surface in ways that no longer can be denied. I don't think that any of us have handled all of those challenges at the same time as all of life's regular challenges. And then your partner might want to have an argument with you now and then, or your friends might want to call you on your not so pleasant habits of relating. All of that's still going on. So I think we really need at the moment a way to find this stability, this certainty, this sense of security in a world that's perhaps more unstable than ever before. All this makes it hard to navigate where we might be going next, and that can leave us feeling confused, worried, frustrated, and stuck. We need a way to allow ourselves to be truly proactive so that we can free ourselves from mere reactivity and the confusion and exhaustion that engenders, especially in times like these. I'll repeat that. That's the main point of my sermon today. We need a way to allow ourselves to be truly proactive so that we can free ourselves from mere reactivity and the confusion and exhaustion that engenders, especially in times like these. So I hope that speaks to you because I have 3 great practices that might help us to find a little bit of certainty, security in murky, uncertain, and insecure times. The first one is called Don't Fear the Stillness. So a way to think about this is if you were navigating a boat, perhaps, and oh, I don't know, there's probably ice in my visualization of it, but the mist comes in, and you can't necessarily see the lighthouse and hear the Pacific Grove thing that they do because the fog is all around. So what do you have to do? You either have to stay still, or you have to navigate inch by inch very carefully. This can be challenging to us because most of us are uncomfortable with staying still or making molasses-like incremental progress. We don't like to stop, and we're in a culture that has conditioned us to think that stopping is somehow losing. But this pause, this stillness is a very wintertime theme. Fields must lie fallow. You athletes out there must do a deloading and recovery phase if you want your optimal performance. In traditions that I'm ordained in, the art of meditation and retreat are time-proven ways of generating insight. In the Taoist tradition, it's felt that the depth of yin, this quiet, inner, and dark aspect of our being, is when new light and yang energy, this upward moving inspiratory power, is born. In the depth of yin is where the yang is born. So the art of meditation retreat, going deep into stillness, canceling your Netflix account. I know it's scary. No, you don't actually have to do that today, but it may feel like life has canceled a Netflix account or is threatening your HBO. I don't know the metaphor I was trying there. But going deep and finding actually when you don't know which way to go is a great time to get really still. And the stillness can be a place where we find renewal and inspiration. I was recently recommended by one of our congregants, actually, this book, The Essentialist by McKeown, and who points out that high-performing companies and entrepreneurs have also figured this out, creating spaces and times for non-doing. Some of them create a Monday meeting where you just go in the room and then you like think and talk and just have coffee together and don't have an agenda. And they found that this is one of the most profit-producing activities in their company, to get together, to not have these specific stratified, we know where we're going, to sit in the not knowing and to find something new. Rilke says, have patience with everything that remains unsolved in your heart. Live in the question. So if you need insight, try going even more deeply into the quiet and perhaps even the don't know mind that the Zen masters have taught us about. This is a key to true novelty and creativity. Don't just do something, sit there. So first, don't fear the stillness is actually a way that we can gain a form of certainty in uncertain times. The second is, you'll have heard this a lot from me, but I'll try to say it in new and fun ways, find your core values. So as you go into this stillness, there are many insights that will arise from the depths. It is surprising how clear and even accurate your sense of direction becomes when we get quiet and comfortable with our uncertainty. But one insight is most important here, and that is what is most important to you. The truth is that we can never know with 100% accuracy where we're going, but we can get quite clear on where we are coming from. So we can't know with 100% accuracy where exactly we're going, but we can get quite clear on where we're coming from. And you might call that taking responsibility for what you actually have influence over. We're not in charge of what changes are coming down the line. Have you tried this? It's a very stressful way to live, to think that, oh, well, I'll be in charge of what the weather is next week, and I'm in charge of the stock market and other people's emotions. And you don't actually have much influence over these things. You are in charge of what you will bring to the situation. So we're developing what in ancient traditions they called the philosopher's stone, which was a magical tool that can be applied in any situation. They said this philosopher's stone turns base materials, that's all of the uncertainty of your life, into gold or medicine, into precious materials. If we know where we're coming from and prioritize what we actually have influence over, we can take almost any situation in life and use it as a venue to express our deepest values. That one is the only thing, perhaps, that's guaranteed. So the magical stone we're making, the philosopher's stone, is made of your core values, that which is most important to you. For use, we already have a list to get you started. We already have a list of core values to get you started. Let me remind you of it, just in case you forgot. 1, all people are important. 2, be kind in what you do. 3, we're free to learn together. 4, and search for what is true. 5, all people need a voice. 6, build a fair and peaceful world. 7, care for the earth we share. And that's the song about it. So we already have in our 7 principles, we've done the work, many of us, of finding what are the core values that I choose, no matter what the situation is, this is what I will bring to it. I decide from my side that this is a venue in which to express these core values. So the good news is they can always be applied. They become something that is unconditional in us. Our core values become something which is unconditional in us, and we gain a bottom line that gives us something solid to stand on, even when everything else is changing. So for example, let's say our brightest hope for bridging division doesn't get completely finished by 2021. I know that's a very pessimistic, but we may not heal all the divisions in the country and world 12 months from now. We just got to be prepared. Is that an opportunity? Let's see, let's pick one of the one. Oh, is that a moment to work toward a more fair and peaceful world? Why, yes. Actually, perhaps that's the best moment to work toward a more fair and peaceful world. Okay, what's another one? Let's see. Oh, I forgot. Oh, yeah, Jan was something. Oh, we're all together, right? So we're all together. But, what if I had a brownout and then I'm the one hosting the Zoom meeting and then, oh no, the Zoom meeting is gone. Egads, conditions have changed. What to do? Is this, let me find another one. Is that a moment to continue to search for what is true? Even though your fearless leader, Reverend Fa Jun, isn't there to rally the charge? These are unconditional states. Even if the Zoom browns out, even no matter what is going on, we can believe that all people are important and treat them that way. We can be kind in what we do. We can care for the earth that we share. No matter what else is going on, this bottom line becomes the solid ground that you stand upon. Okay, so our core values are something that can always be applied. The application of one's core values can be quite complex, don't get me wrong here, but when we make them our bottom line, it eradicates a more pervasive complexity of confusion that comes from trying to take responsibility for what we cannot know or cannot influence. We are empowered when we know what our job is and can focus on doing it to the best of our ability. When times are confusing, we need the empowerment of this inner that this inner stone brings us, because there's very important work to be done. In this spirit, Dr. King says, faith can give us courage to face the uncertainties of the future. He was talking probably about his Christian faith or faith in themselves. We can be talking about our faith in these unconditional values that we bring to the fore. Third step, we're almost there. I only had 3 for you, is stay in growth mindset. Stay in growth mindset. So even with the above, we are still, even though we know, no matter what happens, the Zoom meeting ended, how will I search for truth on my own without you, Reverend Fajun? Help us, you're our only hope, as Princess Leia famously said. Even then you can, but I choose a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Even then, we're in danger sometimes of shame, discouragement, and analysis paralysis if we think there are right choices in the world. If we think there are universally right choices in the world, we're still in danger of shame, discouragement, and analysis paralysis. We think that somehow we'll figure out how to never screw up again, and by deciding to be able to do so, and if you don't succeed, that's a personal failing. The future is uncertain, confusing, and terrifying when we try to deny its complexity for a fictional type of order where everything is somehow under the fascist control of our own constructed sense of agency. Can you see how we seek the security of control, but really we cling to a false hope? Your ego is not powerful enough to get everything right on the first try. I hope this is soothing, even though I'm using my ministerial scolding voice. When I say again, your ego is not powerful enough to get everything right on the first try. So I beg you to relinquish that appointment, the appointment that says you were supposed to get it right on the first try, and relinquish the suffering you experience when you inevitably fail. Instead, commit to fail and fail again in the best ways available to you, and rise again to the challenge of living our values in ever more adaptive and informed ways. If we stay out of fixed mindset, the idea that some ideas, actions, or people are wholly and unchangeably good or bad, we can dance our way into an uncertain future, rather than stagnating in one place for fear of missteps. We take up a growth mindset that no matter what comes, I resolve to grow from it, and I know that this is possible. So these are our 3 main principles to review. Don't fear the stillness. Find your core values, your philosopher's stone, and stay in a growth mindset. In Buddhism, we practice these principles quite deeply. Some of the early meditations can even be very disturbing because we're made to contemplate that life has always been unpredictable. We ordinarily don't keep that at the front of our minds for a good reason, because it makes it difficult to live our everyday lives unless we're living from a deeper place, from our core. The time allotted to us is unknown, and what will happen in that time is also a mystery. But where we have influence is over how we use that time and how we show up to what circumstances are presenting themselves. Will we spend our days seeking desperately for a sense of security, which is fleeting at best, or will we devote our lives and energy to loving as deeply as we can? A final important point here is that our love must include ourselves. It's not as if our core values have to be high-powered flashlight that illuminate everyone's life but our own. Think more like a sun, warming everything exposed to it. When we come from love, we can even learn to love little old me. Perhaps like Mary Oliver famously said, you do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. So the key to the good life The life of security and certainty in an uncertain world is to stop trying to make things you don't have any control over controllable and start focusing on the things that you do have influence over, which is how you show up, finding the new bottom line in yourself, finding what is unconditional in yourself. Like Jesus famously said, then instead of building your house upon the sand, which is so easily washed away, you've built your house, your life, your how you show up to every situation upon a solid foundation which cannot be shaken no matter what else happens. To finish, I will offer you some closing words. These come from Gilda Radner, who says, "I wanted a perfect ending. Now I've learned the hard way that some poems don't rhyme and some stories don't have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Life is about not knowing, having to change, taking the moment and making the best of it without knowing what's going to happen next. Delicious ambiguity." So thank you all for joining us for this morning's service. I hope we found a few avenues to finding certainty in a wildly ambiguous, dancing river flowing in our soul, uncertain world. Build your house upon the stone, come from your core values, and from that bottom line, show up open-heartedly to whatever occurs.